Did you know that 80% of AI errors are caused by bad prompts? In this video, I'll show you how to avoid that pitfall. When you write a vague prompt or a prompt that is missing context, you're going to get a result that is also missing some context, or is hallucinated, or is just off topic, or missing some data variables. Now this may result into more time put into trying to refine that prompt, wasted cost due to context windows and other factors, and end up just not getting the results you want. So how can we avoid that? There's a technique called prompt engineering. So in this video, we're going to cover different prompt engineering techniques that you can use in your daily life so that you can upscale your techniques and result by at least 10 times more than an average person who is not using these techniques. So my name is Professor Ngala. This is Nakua Tech. Roll the intro. So let's start the video. We are going to be learning about prompt engineering mastery, tips and tricks for consistent AI outcomes with examples. Ideally, what is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering is just the ability to give proper instructions to the LLM so that you get the most needed outcome. So in the next few minutes, I'll be covering what are LLMs and tokens in simple terms, general prompt engineering techniques like role-playing, chain of thoughts, futures, templates, and refinements, and later plug in any workflows. And on the third one, I'll be showing bonus tricks and hidden prompt hacks that I use every day on my workflows to get the most outcomes and to scale up my works and to save a lot of time in whatever I'm doing, my pro tips and hacks. I'll be sharing those at the end of the video, so stick to the end of the video so that you learn those tricks. So let's start by understanding why do you need to master these techniques. By mastering these techniques, number one, you'll cut your turnaround time by at least 50%. The second one, you'll eliminate 80 of the common AI errors at the source. And number three, you will unlock richer insight and more creative outputs. And number four, you will be able to scale your workflows with reusable templates. And I'll be sharing you at the end of the video, I will link it in the video below, a template that you can use to plug and play some of the common different workflows for different marketing techniques that you can use. I'll be sharing that for free on my link down below, so do sure to check that out. But let's start learning now these techniques. I'll be showing you and explaining these different techniques at first, and then later when we'll be covering the pro tips, I'll be going to the LLM, and then you'll be seeing exactly what I mean by those tips. So what are LLMs and how do they work? I think it's very important that we understand what are LLMs before we dive deeper, because understanding how they work will make you realize what is the faults and errors that you have been making in your prompt engineering. So LLMs, or simply large language models, is a system, essentially a superpower autocomplete system trained on massive amount of text that breaks content into tokens and uses a transformer neural network with a self-attention to learn with token follow, which tokens follow others. Now, ideally, this is a long sentence and it talks about a lot of things, but what we mean by when we say LLMs have been trained by following this massive large amount of data that was trained on text, and they use this neural network or attention mechanism or system to just try to make sense of what follows next. They try to make sense of what follows next, from the first one to the second one to the third one. They do not know what the meaning or the context of that thing, at least not the early ones, but through being able to see a lot of examples about how sentences are formed and what is the most correct way to form a meaningful sentence, they're able to do the same. So that's the basic thing that LLMs are doing. So LLMs work in the means of something called tokens. You have to understand what a token is, because sometimes if you are going to be using these LLMs or these techniques, for instance, to create chatbots, you have to understand you're using tokens. Tokens are like the fuel of these LLMs. Tokens are the driving blocks. So a token is a small piece of text, like whole word or word fragment, that an LLM breaks into input so it can process language efficiently. These tokens are used to they're like the building blocks. When you say, I'm going there, I am going there, these are three tokens that are put into a machine learning to make sense of it. So it can use the relation to try to predict what are the next coming words there to the store. Could be something like that. I'll show you in examples more. So now that we have at least an understanding of a large language model, how they work and what LLMs are, you can now start understanding why 80% of errors come from bad prompts. Now that we understand that being able to prompt your LLMs in a more way that has more context will yield more better results and output, we can go deeper now to start learning this. I call this general prompting engineering techniques, and then later I'll cover some deeper techniques, but these are general ones that you can use to improve your workflows. Everyone should know this. You shouldn't just go to an LLM and just write a vague prompt. You're not going to get the results you want. So, general prompt engineering techniques masterclass by Nakua Tech. Again, welcome. So the first one, when you are writing a prompt, you should define the role and context. You should be able to tell an LLM that who is this for. You can either specify the role so that it knows that you are referring to this, and then what is the context. Not just giving a plain prompt, you're not going to get the results you want. For instance, I put an example here that says, you're a senior data analyst with 10 years experience. Analyze the following cells data in CSV format and provide the output in JSON with keys trends in strings. This is a data type that accepts numbers and text, and also impact scope in numbers and recommendations. So I'll show you later in an example what we mean here. That we have specified that you are a data analyst with 10 years experience. This alone gives the LLM a context to act in a certain way that, okay, I'm supposed to be experienced here. I'm supposed to give an outcome that is of an experienced person with over 10-year experience, not just act like a general thing. So this is very important. Another key thing is be explicit about outcome. You need to be able to define what kind of outcome you want out of your LLM. Sometimes you just don't want to have an outcome that is a general output. You want an outcome that is structured maybe in tables. You want an outcome that involves a graph. You want an outcome that involves an image. You have to specify what kind of outcome are you looking for an LLM. So for instance, this example is generate a report as a markdown table. The markdown table here means that this is a certain type of outcome we are looking for. Summarize each marketing campaign ROI with columns, campaign name, spend, revenue, and ROI percent. Limit to the top 5 campaigns. All the areas that are put in red, this is the outcome we are looking for. So if I had put in CSV file into the LLM or ChatGPT, I expected an outcome that is structured in a markdown table with these data elements. This is what we mean by being explicit about the outcome. Another thing you must master is to use step-by-step or chain of thought prompts. Now this guys, this is basic, but one of the most important things that you need to master early. Because using chain of thoughts or step-by-step technique will, for instance, when you want to learn something deeper or understand why the LLM came to that output, you want to understand what step did it take to result to that output. Ask it to go step by step. So an example will be, hey, can you walk me through this step by step? I have 12 apples and I want to share them equally among 4 friends. How many does each friend get? This example we'll see later. that if you learn it to an LLM, it goes step by step explaining that by doing this, I was able to achieve this, and also this I used to achieve this. So you are able to learn how it arrived to that output. Another thing you can master is leverage few short examples. Leveraging few short examples is important when you want to have a consistent output from your LLM. I mean that you can have a prompt that has a certain example in it that guides all the coming output from the LLM. This will help you to have a consistent type of output. For example, here I'll show you later that in this example, if we put this and plug into an LLM, we're going to be receiving the same output over and over again. Now, without wasting time, we're going to be, I said earlier, guys, these are just general prompting engineering techniques that I think if you master, they will help you to at least be ahead by 10 times more than average people who are not using these techniques. So another technique that you can use is to set constraints and guide rails. Sometimes you're working on a large piece of document, or you're analyzing a large piece of data, or you're writing a story, or anything. It could be anything. You need to be able to set guide rails. Guide rails or constraints are like, in simple terms, these are negative prompts. For those who have been into the prompt industry or have been with ChatGPT for quite some time, they know something called a negative prompt. A negative prompt is all the things you do not want the LLM to put in your output. So for instance here, an example is generate 5 headline options for LinkedIn, less or equal to 120 characters each. Avoid technical jargons. Do not mention our internal project called Bashmania. So we have set this prompt with guide rails from generate 5 headline option is a guide rail. Less or equal 100 characters each is a guide rail. Avoid technical jargon is a guide rail. Do not mention is a guide rail. So the LLM will make sure that in its output, it only follows these things and will only give you an output that does not have all this jargon and all this output that you might not need in your final answer. So set constraints and start using constraints in your prompting engineering techniques so that you get the most amazing result that you might need. And another thing is prompt chaining or modular prompt. Prompt chaining means you put it into step by step. So if you're going to, you have a prompt that is long, rather than putting it as it is, try to put it in steps. Try to put it in step 1, step 2, and step 3. This will help the model to understand that, okay, I need to do this first, I need to do this second, and I need to do this third. What do I mean by this? I'm showing maybe you are planning a trip to visit Paris, and you want to rent an apartment, but you also need to learn about maybe the cost of the airplane tickets. So you have different parameters. You can start by saying, step 1, can you find maybe affordable apartment on the Airbnb at this price range? And step 2, find the air ticket for this and this. And step 3, another one. This way, an LLM will follow a sequence of step 1, step 2 to step 3. An example here was step 1, extract the top 3 product features from the user reviews. Step 2, for each feature, write a one-sentence benefit statement. Step 3, combine into bulleted list for a marketing email. In this case, the model will follow this sequence like I said earlier. Now that we have covered all of this, I want to directly go to ChatGPT, where I will be showing you my pro tips and tricks that I use every day to get the most out of these LLMs and LLMs and these big languages models. So one of the common things that you can start using is to understand this. You know, when you're on Instagram and someone sends this picture and it's a good picture and you want to know about this picture, how did they make it? You can simply, for example here, you can simply go to your computer and then simply go to your computer and then say that, hey, describe this. By simply asking about this, the LLM is going to create a prompt that explains what this image is about. So sometimes, rather than getting confused about, oh, how that image was made and how can I remake it, you can just ask it to describe that image, and you can take this prompt and go and paste it to any image generation model that you are using. Maybe you're using Midjourney, maybe you want to use even DALL-E and create it itself. You can just say, hey, recreate this image. Now, another pro tip that you can start using is, when you're not sure, when you're asking about something, for instance, say, let's go back here now and copy some of the prompt. Let's take the basic one. Oh, let's make just so maybe I want to learn about how to make 10,000 on the internet. But when you're writing that prompt, you feel like you are missing something. You can ask an AI to, in the end of that message, say, hey, if you think there is something that you are missing that can help to better understand what I want, please ask. And the AI model will give you follow-up questions to what you want. And then you can use that to give it more input into your project or something that you want to do, so that you get the most good output and outcome that can actually be beneficial to you. So for example, I say that I want to learn about Python, but I'm not sure. Is there any more information you need to learn from me so that you can help me more? So writing a prompt like this, you see, it'll tell you, great, you want to learn Python. To help you best, it will be useful to know a few things about you and your goals, your current experience with programming, your learning goals, how do you prefer to learn, time commitment, any specific challenges. So imagine that you have you want to do something, and sometimes, because it's very hard for us humans to explain things, so by doing this, you can better give the model some input so that you get the best answer. So by filling these things, we are guaranteed to get the best way we can learn Python. So this is one of the best tricks that you can use to scale up your works and to get the best result out of these LLMs. I said I'll be showing you some of the output and from this, and I'll be showing you some examples from our prompt techniques here. So for instance, I'm not going to be showing all of this for the sake of time, but I can pick a few ones. So for example, let's see this. Let's give it this. So here, I'm going to upload the CSV. I'm going to upload the CSV here, and I'm going to give it the prompt. What we are testing here is to define a role and context. If we are able to define a role and context, how is that going to be beneficial in the final outcomes? And mind you, I'm using ChatGPT for all, meaning this is paid version, so it's way more smarter, but I'm pretty sure you can use even the free version to do all of these things, and you can get the most outcome out of this. So for instance here, because we said you are a senior data analyst with 10-year experience, now it is acting as a senior data analyst, and it is using the best tools as a senior data analyst with 10-year experience would have used. And it's going to, for instance, it imported Panda, which is a library for different plots and for data science, and it is explaining what it did. The sales data contains the following columns, or analyze the trends, it analyzed the trends and give out the summary. So By being explicit, we were able to get the most out of these models. Now guys, I know there might be challenges that you are facing right now in prompt engineering on getting the results you want from the AI models. If you have those problems guys, please share them in the comment below so that I'll be able to help you and better understand your challenges. If you like this video guys, this is my first video, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It will help and it will mean a lot to me. Otherwise guys, thank you very much for tuning in and see you on the next one.